What if I told you that inside your body, right now, there's a network that's way faster and more complex than any internet on the planet? It's not sci-fi, it's your nervous system. And today, we're going to take a journey through this amazing internal messaging service to see how it all works.
Okay, let's start with a classic puzzle. You touch something really hot, right? And your hand snaps back instantly. But that sharp, ouch, that hurts feeling of pain, that actually shows up a split second later. So how in the world can you react to something before your brain even gets the memo? It feels impossible, like you're moving faster than you can think. And that's because, well, you are. And we're going to figure out exactly how your body pulls off that amazing trick.
So to solve that mystery, we have to start at the very beginning. It all kicks off with how our bodies are constantly tuned in, sensing and reacting to everything happening around us. This is step one.
Now, the first piece of the puzzle is something called a stimulus. It might sound like a fancy science word, but it's really simple. It's just any change your body notices. So that intense heat from the stove, that's a stimulus. A loud noise, a bright light, a weird smell, all of those are stimuli. They're the triggers that get the whole system going.
So how do we even detect these triggers? Well, we've got these incredible little specialists called receptors, and each one has a very specific job. In your eyes, you've got photoreceptors that only care about light. In your skin, thermoreceptors are on heat and cold duty. You get the idea. Think of them like thousands of tiny sensors all over your body, constantly reporting back on what's going on. Okay, so our receptor has picked up a signal. Now what? That information has to go somewhere, and it has to get there fast. It travels along the body's own living biological wires. And that brings us to the absolute superstar of this whole operation.
Meet the neuron. Seriously, this is the building block of everything we're talking about. If your nervous system is the internet, then the neuron is the high-speed fiber optic cable. It's a cell that is perfectly designed to do one thing: send messages at incredible speeds.
And get this, these living wires can be insanely long. A single neuron, just one cell, can stretch up to 100 centimeters. That's over 3 feet long. You literally have single cells that run from the base of your spine all the way down to your big toe. That's how your brain can tell your toe to wiggle in an instant. It's wild.
So how does this amazing cell work? Well, it's basically a one-way street for information. It has three main parts. First, you have the dendrites. Think of these as the antennas. They catch the incoming signal. That signal then goes to the cell body, which is kind of like the processing hub. And finally, it gets sent down the axon, which is the long cable that passes the message on. So it's always receive, process, transmit. Simple as that.
And just like on a real highway, there are different lanes for different kinds of traffic. Sensory neurons are like field reporters. They send information from your senses into the main headquarters, your brain and spinal cord. Motor neurons are like dispatchers. They carry the orders from headquarters out to your muscles. And then you've got interneurons, which are the crucial connectors that link everything up inside the command center.
Okay, so we've got a signal zipping down a neuron. But here's the catch. Neurons don't actually touch each other. There's a tiny, tiny gap between them. So how does the message get from one neuron to the next one? Well, it has to make a leap.
And that tiny gap has a name. It's called a synapse. It's this microscopic space where one neuron ends and the next one begins. For the message to keep going, the signal has to cross this gap.
Now, this is where the real magic happens. The signal traveling down the neuron is an electrical impulse, but electricity can't just jump across that empty space. So, when the electrical signal reaches the end of the neuron, it triggers the release of special chemicals. These chemicals float across that tiny synaptic gap, and when they hit the next neuron, they spark a new electrical signal. It's an incredible split-second conversion from electrical to chemical and back to electrical again.
All right, we now have all the pieces of the puzzle on the table. We've got the stimulus, the receptors, the speedy neurons, and that clever synaptic leap. Let's put it all together and finally solve that mystery of the hot stove. It all comes down to a brilliant emergency shortcut.
And that shortcut is called a reflex action. The most important words here are automatic and involuntary. You don't think about it. You don't decide to pull your hand away. Your body is just hardwired to do it instantly to protect you from getting hurt.
This super-fast pathway has a name. It's called the reflex arc. And as you can see, it's a very direct and efficient loop designed for one thing and one thing only: pure, unthinking speed.
Okay, let's follow the signal.
Step 1. Receptors in your skin scream hot. Step 2. A sensory neuron fires that danger signal inward. Step 3. And listen up, this is the most important part. The signal doesn't go all the way to the brain. It goes to the spinal cord. The spinal cord acts like a local manager, makes an immediate decision, and sends a command right back out. Step 4. A motor neuron carries that command, pull away now, out to your arm muscle. And step 5, your muscle contracts and bam, your hand is off the stove. The pain message gets to your brain a little bit later, after you're already safe. How cool is that?
So now that we've seen how the body's emergency system works, let's take a quick look at the main headquarters, the place where all the conscious thoughts, big decisions, and memories are made.
So here's the whole system at a glance. It's basically broken down into the central and peripheral systems. We're going to zoom in on the command center itself, the central nervous system, which is made up of just two main parts, the brain and the spinal cord.
And let's be clear, the brain is the CEO of the entire operation. It's the ultimate coordinating center. It takes in all the information, figures out what it means, and makes the decisions that control, well, everything.
But the brain isn't just one big blob. It's neatly organized into different regions, each with its own special jobs. We're just going to quickly look at two of the main powerhouses, the forebrain, which does all your thinking, and the hindbrain, which keeps your body's automatic systems running smoothly. The forebrain. This is what you probably think of when you think brain. It's the biggest, most developed part. It's your thinking cap. Learning new things, solving problems, remembering your last birthday, feeling emotions, and deciding to get up and walk across the room, that's all handled by the forebrain. Now, the hindbrain is your life support system. It handles all the critical stuff that you never, ever have to think about. The medulla part of it is busy controlling your blood pressure, your breathing, all that background stuff. And then there's the cerebellum, which is amazing. It fine-tunes all your movements so they're smooth and precise. It's the reason you can walk, run, or ride a bike without toppling over. So let's just end on this thought. We've seen that a single nerve cell can be as long as your leg, and a reflex can save you from a burn faster than you can even feel the pain. So right now, just sitting there listening to me, how many billions of messages do you think are flying around your body, coordinating your heartbeat, your breathing, and even helping you understand these very words? It's the most amazing communication network in the known universe, and it's all happening inside you every single second. Pretty incredible, right?